that information. Okay, so that's the daily notes. So the medicine tasks will feed into the MAR chart report. And if I just go to October, so these are the medicines that are added into the care plan, the times they need to be administered. Where you're seeing the red crosses, it's where the task has not been done. Where you're seeing the green tick and some green letters, the letters are the initials of the carer who administered or did that task. Green tick means it's been successfully done. And if it's got an orange letter underneath the initials, it means that it hasn't been administered because the carer has selected one of these national codes. And what you can do on the MAR chart is you can double click into the cell to see the original task, just to see if there's any other comments made, and add in some review notes for auditing purpose. And again, you can export this data out as well. Okay. And then well-being. So remember the emotions that I said, they feed into a happiness graph. This is this graph here. I'm just going to scroll down this report because there's a lot of graphs for the different task types. So you'll only really use this report and look at the graphs that are applicable for the task types that are being done within your agency. Okay, but as you can see, the system does produce various graphs for you. And anywhere you see this little icon, it means you can export that data out. Okay. So now I'm just going to take you over to business alerts as well. So here is where you would set up any notifications and alerts. You would tell the system who they need to go to, whether it's for all service users or a particular service user, and the frequency of that alert. So once you've gone through your setup and you've set up your alerts, the system will do the thinking for you. It will notify you based on what you've set here. And as I scroll down, you can see there's various types of alerts and notifications that you can set. Okay. So now I'm just going to take you over to the staff section. So to add staff to the system, as you can see, you can create teams, you can create roles. If I just click into staff, this is a list of all my current staff because my status is filtered to current. But if I click on the green plus button, this is how I would simply add a new profile for a member of staff. You always use their email address because that will be used as their username for the app. You set them a password. Depending on what role you set them, the system will at default set what we think the permission rights should be for that role type. But again, I'll show you how you can change them. Add in their first name, last name, postcode. And when you click next, it will take you straight into the staff profile. And again, you can upload a photo of your staff. And again, I'm just going to scroll down this page because a lot of the fields are quite self-explanatory. But if you need me to pause, let me know, please. Okay, so roles and access rights. So this is what we think they are, depending on the role that you've selected. But again, you have the option to change them as well. Okay, any background information can be captured here. Any emergency contact information can be captured here. Now, the next three sections, salary, hourly rate, and travel pay. These three sections feed into our wages report. So the system does calculate the wages for you based on what you've put into this section in your staff profiles. So if you're paying mileage, you need to tell the system how many pence per mile you're paying. Is mileage paid after a certain amount of miles? Is it paid from home to first shift? Is it paid from last shift to home? Hourly rates. So here is where you would set your staff members' hourly rates. So once you put the rate in here, you then need to tell the system whether that rate is per hour or per shift, whether it applies if they work all days of the week or particular days of the week, or whether it's for all shift types or whether it's a particular shift type. Does it apply based on the number of hours they work in the day? Or does that rate apply if they work with a particular service user? So as you can see, you can really define the various rates that you may have for your staff. And then travel pay, is it the same as the shift rate or is it a different rate? And if so, what is the rate? Here you can capture their holiday entitlement in hours and when your year ends. Any teams they're involved with will show here. You can also do their appraisal from here. You can also got a document section, so upload documents for your staff members. Any documents with an expiry date, you as managers will get an alert a month before that document is due to expire. Any training matrix, so any courses that you're scheduling them on can be added in here. And then the period of that course and any certificates obtained can be uploaded there. Any certificates from previous courses can be populated into this section. The next section is availability. So this is where you would come to tell the system what days and what hours of the day your staff are available to work or not work. And you can simply do that by dragging these cells. So the green is available, the pink is unavailable, or if you don't want to do it that way, you can click on the green plus button and then select what it is you're marking and the days and times. Okay, and this feeds into the rota section. Any staff absences can be managed here. Any vaccines they've had can be populated here. And the next three sections, so complaints, suggestions, concerns, reported and compliments, these three sections feed from our quality assurance section here. So I'm just going to take you over to that so that you can see what I mean. If I go to quality assurance, here's some entries that have already been made. If I click on the green plus button, I can select from the type here. So let's say it's a complaint. Then the system wants to know, is it from the service user, staff, family, stroke relative or other? Let's just say service user. It then allows you to select the service user and then which member of staff. You said we did lessons learned to the status of that entry, and that will feed into the staff profile for you. Okay. Just going to go back into the staff member that we were in and just go to the section we were at. In case any disciplinaries can be managed here. Please ignore the staff wellbeing section. This is not a working section at the moment. And this is where you would do your staff assessments and supervision. So remember, I showed you the template section where you can build templates for service users. You can build templates for staff as well. And once you've built those templates, you simply select the template that you're going to be completing. And as you can see, so you can literally mirror your paper forms to be electronic within the system so that everything is in one place for you. And we do provide you with some generic templates, which you're more than welcome to use. But again, you can edit and customize these templates to your needs and requirements. And again, you can obtain an electronic signature. Okay. And this is where you would build your templates. So settings, here's my templates, and I can simply edit any of these questions that are in that template. I can preview it. So if I click into the section, these are the questions that I've got there already, but I can add more questions if I need to. So as you can see, you can literally mirror your paper forms to be in the system. Any communication or any messages and alerts sent via the app will always feed into the staff profile in the inbox section, so you've got a clear audit log of any messages that they received. Comms, again, is just short for communication, so you can log any telephone conversations you've had regarding the staff member, email, or general note. And again, you've got a clear audit log of any past conversations. The clock in and late section feeds from the carer app, so that will automatically be populated with their clock ins and outs. Any status changes to the staff profile will be captured here. And finally, the last section is onboarding. So this is a great way for you to create a recruitment tick list when you're recruiting new staff, just to make sure that you're getting certain documentation. Okay, so if it was no, then once you get it, and you say yes, then you can upload the file and add in any additional notes. And you can build your own list by clicking on this setting cog. So these are some of the sections and items within those sections that I want, but I can add more. Does anybody have any questions for me on the staff profile? You're all very quiet. I hope you're all awake. Any sign of life online?
Yes,
I'm alive and I'm so impressed. I'm just processing the information I've seen, and I'm just thinking, how can our two systems that we are working on, which is Care Planner and Birdie at the moment, can just be met in one of them. But I'm simply waiting because I'm the system manager and Shota coordinator. I'm just simply wanting to go to the rostering system, so we'll see what you have there, guys. But yes, I'm very interested.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for that feedback. It's great to hear that you're all still awake and I've not.
Yes, I'm alive.
Fantastic. Right, I'm going to take you over to the rostering side now. So that's our next section that we're going to be going to. So here we go. We go to rota. So from a carer's point of view, they will only see my rota. So when they go to my rota, they'll see the list, the shifts that they've been scheduled into, and where here it's got ×2 means it's a double up call. And depending on what you set in your settings, it means that they can see the co-worker that they're working with, just in case they need to make contact with them, and then any other vital information when they click into the call will be displayed here. So they can view their rota in list view, in calendar view, and as we're on Tuesday, it's displaying from Tuesday onwards. But if I click on show all days, I can view it from the beginning of the week. And depending on your settings, depends on how far ahead they can see their rota as well. Okay, so that's from a carer's point of view. As managers, you will be using manage rota. Okay. So what you're looking at now is the rota. So these are all my shifts for all my service users for the week, because we are currently in week view. You can view your rota in week view, you can view it in list view, or you can view it in day view. So in day view, you've got your times going across the top. Any unassigned shifts will be at the top here, and on the left-hand side, you can see these are unassigned shifts. You can create shift runs, and if you are using shift runs, they'll be displayed just below the unassigned shifts, and then you'll see a list of your carers. And where you're seeing these purple bars, that's the unavailability that's been marked in their staff profile. Okay, so in day view, what you can do is you can drag and drop calls to your carers. Okay, as you can see, that call's now been allocated. And if it's a double up call, like it is here, what that will do is, because it's only been assigned to one carer, it was originally half pink and half green, but now it's fully green. Okay, so that's day view. If we go back to week view, and I scroll across, now you can reduce this. I think I've got it on quite big at the moment, but you can reduce it to what you think's right for you to visualize it. Here you've got various filters. I'm just going to narrow this down just to make it easier on the eyes. So if I just select Tina Turner, okay, so these are some shift structures that I've already got in for Tina. But if I move on to next week, I'm just going to add in a new structure. I'm just going to show you how simple it is to add in the calls that are required by your service users. So just below the round-2 logo here, you've got a tab with 3 dots. This is your do more menu within the rota section, and there's various things you can do here. So to add a new call in, I would go to add new shift. Because I'd already filtered Tina and the week I wanted it to start, it's already pre-populated. Where it says end date, at default it's set to never, but there might be some calls that are one-off calls, so you need to set to end date, and you have the option to do that. But if we say it's never, then the system needs to know, is what days of the week is it happening? Is it happening every day of the week? Put a tick at the top and it selects all the days of the week, or is it particular days of the week? And then it's saying, well, because you've said it's never, what frequency is it going to repeat at? Let's say it's every week, and let's say this call's going to happen at 4 o'clock till 5 o'clock. Then the system needs to know how many members of staff are required. Is it 1? Is it 2? Put them in here. And if you're defining the staff's hourly rate based on the shift type, you need to make sure that you select the correct shift type for the shift structure. And then depending on what you've put in the care plan for funding, you'll select it from the drop down. So Tina is being funded by Leicester City Council. These are the rates that we're charging. And then the system will need to know, are you charging these rates per hour or per shift? Okay. And if you charge a separate rate for a bank holiday, you would populate that here. If you're using shift runs, this is where you would build your shift runs. So here is how you would add in your shift run names. And once you've built a list of the shift run, you can simply assign the call to the shift run and click save. Because this was a repeat call every week, as you can see, that's gone in every week now. There's obviously another structure in that was every other week. That's why you're seeing on some weeks you've got double up call there. Okay. So that's how simple it is to add in your calls, your shift structures, and allocating staff to these calls. There's a number of ways you can do it. So I showed you the drag and drop in the day view. In the week view, you can either double click into a call, and here you can add in some carer notes, manager notes, and then because this call only requires 1 member of staff, it's only got staff 1. And then here, it will show you a list of all the staff that would be available to do the call at the top, and any staff not available will be at the bottom. Where you've got the 0 in brackets, this is an indicator to let you know how many times this member of staff has been to see the service user in the past. At default, where it says assign, it will say for 1 shift only, but you can change that to for a period of time. And if it's a period of time, it opens up some more fields, so you need to tell the system what period of time it is. Or you can say it's ongoing. Then the system needs to know, what frequency is it ongoing that this carer is going to this call. Okay, let's just leave it at 1 shift only. If you've got staff that will be shadowing other staff, you can add them in as trainee 1, 2, or 3. Okay, and then simply click save, and that call's been assigned to Alaska. So that's one way of assigning calls. The other thing you can do is, if there's multiple calls going to the same carer, you can simply highlight all the calls, go to the 3 dots and go to assign to staff, and then you can select a member of staff from the list, and then at default it's set to selected dates only, but you can say never, and then you can select the frequency that this member of staff will be doing these calls as well. Okay, so let's just leave it at selected dates only. Right, so there's a clash in the system. As you can see, the system will prompt you of any clashes or any overlaps, and then it will assign the call. Okay, so let's just say, But you've done your rota, the member of staff has now called in sick. Okay, so you now need to arrange cover for the calls they were assigned to. So you would select the first call that absence is going to affect, and then you would click on the three dots, and you would go to, let me just see what date we're on, 25th, so go to your three dots, and say staff absence, and then tell the system, the period of this absence, and the time's going to be what times it's going to affect, whether it includes the weekend. Select the reason for the absence, add in some additional notes. This will feed into the staff profile in the absence section, and then the system will just confirm that, are you happy to mark this member of staff off for this period? You click yes, and then it will prompt you to find a replacement member of staff for those calls. Okay, so where you select a replacement member of staff, it will replace them, as you can see here, and where you don't, it will simply unassign that call, so it'll be pink. The other thing that could happen is that the service user might cancel the call, so simply highlight the call, go to your do more menu, shift cancelled. The system will want to know if it's still billable. Who cancelled it? Was it you or the service user? The reason for the cancellation, let's say family attended, and then it's saying, well, if there's any medication tasks, what do you want to mark on the MAR chart? So let's just say the family confirmed that they'd administered them, and then is the staff member allocated to that call still getting paid for it, yes or no? Click save. And then that call will be grayed out, and that information will be fed into the relevant reports for you. Okay. The other thing you can do is you can advertise calls. So you might not want to sit there and find members of staff that are available to do these calls. So simply highlight the calls that you're advertising, go to your three dots, advertise shift, and then if you're using Teams, you can say which team it needs to go to, and then you can just type a message, save. The system will confirm that these are the staff that would be available to do these calls. Are you happy to send this message out to these members of staff? Yes. Your carers will receive an on-screen notification on their phone, and when they click on that, it will take them to their inbox, and they'll see the message like this. And when they click on the message, it will show the shifts that are being advertised, and they can simply go and they can either accept all the shifts, or they can select a particular shift that they're happy to do. So I'm going to say that I'm happy to do this shift with Tina Turner on the 21st between 9 and 10, and then that will allocate them to the rota, as you can see here. And that's the basic functionality on the rota section. Obviously, there's a lot more in the do more menu that you can do. I think I've covered the key areas. Does anybody have any questions for me, Dan?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
So is there a page, is there a visual where I can see all the runs, unallocated runs?
So is there a page where you can see all the allocated calls?
Unallocated runs.
Okay, yeah, of course you can. So where it says rota, if you go to rota uncovered, that means you'll only see the calls that haven't been allocated to staff.
No, what I'm trying to say is, because at the moment we are working in runs. So once a new client is in, it goes into a round. Rounds are created by me according to postcode and location to the client. So, for example, if I say Newbury, A, for example, a client from that round, I'm giving you an example, went to hospital or on respite for 3 weeks, right? I cancel the visits, but I know I have a gap on that round that I have availability, so I need to fill that gap. So when taking over new clients on board, how would I know my capacity?
Okay, I see what you're saying. At the moment, it's more of a visual thing with rounds here. So, I mean, in Dayview, you can view your rounds. Can you see here? This is the shift run. So remember I said that you see your unassigned calls here. And if you're using shift runs where you're adding multiple calls into a run.
Yes.
So this is a run name, East Leicester, South Leicester. So just simply by looking at this, I can see where my gaps are in this run.
Okay.
So it's more of a visual thing. It's not, the system won't tell you that you've got this many gaps in this run.
No.
Not at the moment.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Because I can deal with that. I just want a window, or I want a page where I can see where my gaps exist. It's more of a visual. I do not want the system to tell me.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can see it here. So as I moved on to another day, there's more runs here. So these runs, Belfast, Belgrave, East Leicester, these are shift runs. So here I can see where my gaps fall in and where I can add in other calls to these.
I can see that.
Perfect, brilliant. Does that answer your question on the road to this, or is there any others? No? Brilliant. So that's the rota section. The other things we have available is we have a section for policies and procedures. Now, at the moment, we don't provide you with any policies and procedures, but you do have this section where you can upload any amount of policies and procedures by clicking on the green plus, adding in the name of the policy and selecting the file from your computers. Once you've added it to the list, you can then send it to staff to sign off. And again, you can say what staff it's going to. And as your staff start signing that off, you'll get a date stamp. And you can see which members of staff have still not signed it off. It's actually policies and procedures section. You've also got a PPE stock. So if you want to keep a log of any stock that you have and you want to be alerted of when it reaches a certain threshold, that can be done from here. And it also creates a report of who's taking stock and the quantity that's being taken. Okay. We've got a nice to have area called CQC inspection. Now this is not work in progress, so we're not adding to it at the moment, but it's something that we're keen to add more to. So what we've got here is a list of frequently asked questions and a way, so when CQC are coming, it's quite a stressful time. There's a lot of information that they want. So it's just feedback that we had from a particular agency. It'd be nice to have a section within in the software where you could go to frequently asked questions, and when you click on it, it takes you to the report. So this is what we're hoping, and we will be building on going forward in the future. But like I say, it's a nice to have, and it's not an essential at the moment. So here we've got some questions. So are staff being overworked? If you click on it, it takes you to a report that gives you that information. Okay, so are carers reading care plans before the start and end of their shift? Again, it gives you a percentage of what carers are doing that. And again, like I say, we will be growing this section in the near future. Some other reports that you have. So if I go to reports, staff clocked in integrity. So this is the report that feeds in from the carers clocking in and out on the app. So here you can see the staff members, the service users that they were assigned to, the rotated time of the call, what time they actually clocked in, and how far away from the client they're clocking in, and how late they're clocking in. I think all my staff would be sacked, but never mind. And then also if you click on the blue hyperlink here in this column where it says clock in map, it takes you to the Google map to show you exactly where they've clocked in, as you can see there. So there's no hiding away from you managers no more. You know exactly where your carers are, okay? There's a lot of other reports available as well. I'm not going to go through them all, but as you can see from the lists, there is a lot of reports available. Main reports I'll cover now is finance, so wages. So you can set the frequency of your wages when payroll starts. And then once you've set that, if I just go into a period here, so what you're seeing here at a glance is a list of all my staff. And as I scroll across on this report, you'll see that the system captures their clocked in hours, their rotated hours. It breaks that down into days, nights, weekdays, and weekends. Any contracted hours will be displayed here. It works out the holiday allowance they've accrued for this period based on the 12.07% rule. Their gross pay in clocked in hours, it breaks that down into weekdays and weekends. Gives you their gross pay for rotated hours. It breaks that down into weekdays and weekends. It works out their travel pay, their travel time, their distance, and their mileage to pay. And then it also gives you a breakdown of the type of shifts that they did in that period as well, as you can see. And you can export this report into an Excel worksheet or print it. If I go back to the beginning and if I click into a member of staff, it also produces their timesheet. So you can see exactly what calls they did. And as I scroll across, you can see the data that's being captured. Okay. And from here, as managers, you can override clock-ins and outs. So here, I've not got a clock in. I can highlight the row, go to clock in and out. I can adjust the timing if need be, and I can select the reason and click save. And then the system will clock that call in for you. And again, you can export the timesheet as well. Anywhere you see this icon means you can export that data. So that's your wages report. If I go back to reports, finance, delivered hours. Okay. So here, let's just select a period, and let's select Adam Taylor, because that's who we've been working with. Okay, so these are my delivered hours that I've done for Adam for this period. And as I scroll across, you can see the shift times, the clock in and out times, the rotated hours, who's funding them, cost to funder, chargeable hours, and the amount that's going to be charged. And from here, again, you as managers, you can override clock-ins and outs. Just try and find, so here, clock in and out, and you can select the reason, adjust the timing, and that call's now clocked in. Once you've used these filters, once you've got the data that you need, you can then view it on the invoice. Oh, bear with me. I don't use this report very often, so I'm just... Okay, so as you can see, the system will automatically produce the invoice for you. You put your company logo, your address details, any banking details here. You can print it, you can set an invoice number, you can copy it, and you can save it as PDF to attach to an email to send on. Okay, any cancelled shifts for the period that you filtered here will show here. But if they were billable, they'd still be in this top column because they need to be added to the invoice. You can also audit your shifts. So here, you can audit the shifts. So you can go into a shift. What you'd see is all the tasks and the handover notes here. You can put some review notes in, and you can even send it to your carers to sign off as well. It's a good way to provide training for your carers, so giving them positive feedback or any feedback or from the notes that are coming through. And that's the end of the demonstration. So unless anybody has any further questions for me, I can show you some pricing and discuss what that pricing includes. No? Okay. Bear with me. Let me just bring the pricing up for you. So hopefully you can all see my price list now. Okay, so the way pricing works is we price you based on the number of service users you have and what bracket that falls into. So for example, if you've got 8 service users and you want to sign up today, I would invoice you for £864 because you fall into this first bracket. That price there is inclusive of VAT. It gives you access to the entire system. There's no limit to the amount of users that you can have, and it also includes all your training and ongoing support. There is no hidden costs with round-2. What you see is what you get, and what you see here for pricing is all you pay, depending on what bracket you fall into. And we provide you with a structured training program. So when you come on board, you'll have 5 to 6 training sessions, depending on your needs and requirements. Each training session is no longer than an hour. And during each session, my colleagues will walk you through and guide you on what data you need to populate into that section. And then you'll go away and you'll complete what you've been shown during that training session before we book you in for your next training session. Does anybody have any questions regarding pricing or training or what that includes? Well, you've all gone very quiet again.
It's not right. It's not about the pricing. It's about the 2 apps working together. So let's say Care Planner and round-2. Can they work together for a period of time or permanent? Can they transmit data to one another?
Okay, so there's a few questions you've asked me there, so I'll try and answer them all individually. So there isn't any software company out there that provides you with information from one software to another, because every software works differently. So what we sorry, there's a lot of background noise there. So what we would advise you to do is to download if you were to move away from your current softwares, you would need to download or export or print any amount of data that you need to keep hold of, put it to one side and start afresh with round-2. Okay, we don't integrate with any other system because we provide a one-stop shop. There's no need for us to do that. But we do support you with your setup to make sure you're set up correctly. Does that answer all the questions? I can't remember if there was anything else I missed. No? Anybody else got any questions?
Yeah, just a question on the pricing. I'm still in the process of registering with CQC.
Okay.
I've got my interview on the 10th of January. So then after that, then that's when I'll need this. So in terms of the pricing, is it you can pay monthly or does it have to be a year? Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't offer installments or monthly payments. And I'm sure a lot of you have used software or you've looked at other software. And if you compare our pricing with other companies out there, I'm sure you'll see that we're nearly 70% or more cheaper than any other software company based on the functionality that we provide and what that includes. The other thing I'd like to point out is, yes, it is an upfront cost that needs to be paid in full before we start your training and before you have access to the account. However, it doesn't mean that you're capped at these limits. So, for example, if you signed up today because you've got 8 service users and we invoiced you for £864, That doesn't mean you can't go over that bracket in the first year, but we also don't charge you any extra either, because we want you to grow as a business. So if in 3 weeks' time or in 6 months' time you've now got 15 service users, you won't pay any more in that first year, because we only review your annual subscription on renewal. So a month before your renewal is due to go out, the accounts team will look at your account and look at how many live care plans you have in the system at that point, and then invoice you for the second year based on what bracket you fall into at that point.
Okay, so say if I sign up, and so is that okay to sign up and then wait until that point when I start trading, when the business is running?
It's entirely up to you. I mean, we do have a lot of agencies that sign up when they don't have any service users and they're still going through the registration process. That is absolutely fine. Just bear in mind that your subscription starts from the date we do your first training. Okay, so if you said you wanted to sign up now, but your first training wasn't happening until, I don't know, 5th of January, you'd have access to the account as soon as you've paid, because we email you the login details as soon as we've had a payment from you. But your subscription will start from that date that we've booked your first training from.
Okay.
Can I ask something, please?
Of course you can.
Is the app running and viable where there's no signal? Signal?
Yes, there is. We have an offline feature. But in order for that to work efficiently, what you need to do is you need to make sure that your carers log into the app when they have good network or Wi-Fi, because that allows the app to download the calls and